Okay, so hi, it is time for another Remingtons Ramblings. So, I recently posted Steve's Toy Box number 6, and I decided to keep 2 of the items that were in that box. So I figured, hey, it's a good time to make a Remingtons Ramblings and explain exactly why I kept those items. And, you know, this is a good time to talk a little bit about collecting, okay? So, here we go. These are the 2 Remingtons, like the 2 figures I kept out of here for the Remingtons Ramblings. Both are Jedi Knight Luke Skywalkers. This is the hologram version, and this is the regular version. Here we go. We got Luke Skywalker. He's got this cloth cape and everything. Yeah, really nice. Green lightsaber stand. And then right here, you know, we've got like a hologram Luke Skywalker. So it's kind of like in this translucent plastic and stuff, you know, and he's got his stand there, and of course he has a lightsaber because you can't have Luke Skywalker without a lightsaber. So anyways, like, I picked these both up. This one looked really awesome, the hologram aspect, and this one, you know, I just like Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Okay, so on with the explanation. Long ago, in a galaxy very, very near, I just fell in love with the Star Wars universe. I must have been about, let's say 14, 15, something like that. Now, I had never seen Star Wars before, believe it or not. I had not seen it. But I finally did see it, and I mean, these movies were awesome. They were excellent. I couldn't believe it. The stories, the sci-fi, the action, the everything. It was just so cool. And I wanted to get the action figures when I found out that, you know, they existed. At this point in time, they were making the Power of the Force line. Power of the Force, and these figures came on a card. It was black with a green lightsaber line through it, and then of course you got your figure and the bubble on it. And, you know, I went down to a local Walmart, and, you know, I don't have a lot of money at this time. Matter of fact, I don't have any money at all. So, but I see what they have, and a friend of mine is really into Star Wars, and so, you know, he was getting the figures, he was collecting them, and so he got me into collecting. You know, before then, you know, when I got toys, I got them, opened them up, played with them. You know, they got used, they got beat up, sometimes they got broken. I took good care of my stuff, but, you know, I was a kid. Sometimes things just break. But anyways, when I finally did start collecting Star Wars figures, I went and, believe it or not, I was able to get just all the main characters the very first time I went out and actually bought, like, Star Wars figures. I got, like, Luke Skywalker in the Stormtrooper armor. I got Han Solo, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Vader. I think I got the Emperor. So I got these, like, these 7 figures, and I mean, they were really awesome. And, like, you know, I put them in a box, and they sat there for about a week, and after a week, I mean, it was just eating at me because I had never bought toys and then not opened them up and played with them before. So it was just eating away at me, you know, that I had these toys that weren't being played with. They weren't even open. So finally, after a week, I broke down and I started opening them up, which I regretted about 30 minutes later, because these action figures did not have a lot of posability. I mean, they moved their arms, they moved their legs. I don't even know if they had, like, joints at the knees. So they weren't really fun to play with. They were decent for standing there and posing, but they weren't great toys to play with. Things are different now. Now toys have lots of articulation. The only figure that I didn't open from that original 7 was Han Solo. That is the only one that stayed closed, because by the time I reached Han Solo, I'd already played with the other figures, and I'm like, these are not fun to play with. I'm not having fun with them. I'm going to keep Han Solo closed. So Han Solo is the only guy that never got opened. But, you know, when you turn the figures over on the back, I mean, there's, like, you know, ads for other figures that are available. And the one that struck me was Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. There was Luke Skywalker, all in black. Black pants, black shirt, black cloak, black cape, black everything. And he had that green lightsaber. I wanted that figure so bad. So bad. But I couldn't find it anywhere. Because in my small town, there's one Walmart and that's it. If you want something and it's on at Walmart, you're going to have to go to the next city over. That's just how it is. And unlike other Walmarts, this one doesn't seem to get a whole lot of new stuff in stock. At least it seemed like it at that time. I mean, with Star Wars figures, they would get in a shipment, and there might be 3 or 4 of good characters, then they would have tons of just the filler characters. They would get Grand Moff Tarkin, an AT-ST driver, the Rancor Keeper. I mean, how many Grand Moff Tarkins do you need? How many AT-ST pilots do you need? You don't. I mean, you would get one and that's it. You'd figure that they would include, just 2 or maybe 3 in a large shipment of these not so popular characters. And the really popular ones like Darth Vader and whatnot, they would put a whole bunch in because they're more likely to sell them. So when a new shipment would come in, those good figures would sell off quickly, and then the rest of them would just sit on the shelf forever, and Walmart wouldn't order anymore until, enough figures had sold that the pegs were bare. So I never found that Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. I wanted it. I mean, I wanted that thing for probably 2 years. 2 years I wanted that thing. Never found it. Finally, my family went on vacation to visit Grandma and Grandpa. On my summer vacations, we never went to any kind of exotic locale like Hawaii or national monuments like Yellowstone or the Washington Monument. No, vacations was always Grandma and Grandpa's house. That's always how it was. First they lived in New Mexico, then they lived in Arizona, so just one state over. But this one time, we went and saw Grandma and Grandpa, and we were up there for probably about 2 weeks. One time we were up there, we went to Walmart. And of course, every time I go to Walmart, I head straight to the toy section. At this age now, my first destination is electronics. Then I go to the toys and see if they have new Transformers, but that's another story. I went straight to the toys, and bam, there was an entire wall of Star Wars, and right there, was Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, all in black with the green lightsaber. And I grabbed that thing up. I grabbed it and I held it. I'm like, yes, finally, after 2 years, I finally have this thing. And not only that, they also had Lando Calrissian and Slave Leia, which I had never been able to find before. I wanted those 2 figures, and now I had them. I had these 3 figures that I'd wanted for so long and never been able to find. So I took these figures up to the checkout line, and I guess, I don't know how I had gotten some money. I'm guessing that I had been given some, or I'd done some work or something, but I had enough money to get these figures. I got these figures, and I was so happy, and I took them back to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and I put them away in my suitcase, and when we finally got home, I hung them up on my wall, like I did with all my other figures. Put in a push pin, put the figure there. Just, my entire wall was just full of Star Wars figures just hanging there on these push pins. We ran out of push pins in the house, believe it or not. But I finally had Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker after 2 years of searching in vain. That's what it's like to be a collector. I mean, you want something so bad. And, at this point in time, my world is rather limited. I mean, younger people today, they take everything for granted. I mean, the internet, eBay, that's just something that's always existed. Not so for me, not so for my generation. I mean, I didn't get onto the internet until 8th grade. And the very first website I went to, believe it or not, was www.starwars.com. Big surprise, huh? So anyways, that's what it's like to be a collector. I mean, with such limited resources, You know, I was limited to going to just the local Walmart, and that's it. Nothing else. So that's why I had to keep these two Jedi Knight Luke Skywalkers, because ever since then, whenever I find a Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, I have to get it. I have to make it mine. And, yeah, so that is why I'm keeping these two. These are really special to me. I really have to have them. I mean, I'm not getting rid of them. No way, no how. Now, I also said in Steve's Toy Box number 6 that, you know, I wanted to keep the Han Solo and Hoth Gear, but I decided to put it up on sale. There's another collector's story behind that one. Again, I was on vacation with, you know, seeing Grandma and Grandpa. We went to, I think it was a Kmart. Went to Kmart. Went straight to the toy aisle, and I'm looking through, you know, their Star Wars figures. They have like a bunch of older figures. This was when I discovered that the Power of the Force line wasn't just green carded figures with a hologram sticker. I found out that there was green cards with no hologram sticker, and even before then, there were red cards. They hadn't made red carded figures in years. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get any of the red carded figures. If I knew then what I knew now, I totally would have, because the red carded figures are worth a little bit more. But I got the green carded ones because I was used to the green cards and I liked the hologram stickers. So, you know, chalk that up to inexperience. But one of the figures they had there was Han Solo in Hoth Gear. Han Solo with a lightsaber. I had never seen Han Solo with a lightsaber. And Hoth Han Solo is the only figure you will ever find that comes with a lightsaber. None other. So, I picked up this figure, and I looked at it, and there were no other Han Solo and Hoth Gears there. That was the only one. Now, when you're collecting stuff, you always want to get the best of the best that you possibly can. Now, if you're ordering something online, you're at the mercy of whatever they decide to send you. But if you go to a store, you know, what I do, and I know what other collectors do, is they go to the store, they say, huh, look at this. I want to get this. I want to collect it. I wonder how many of the exact same thing they have. So, you know, you go through, like, you know, the pegs and you grab out, you know, all the exact same ones. So let's say it's Luke Skywalker, just for an example. And you say, okay, there's 10 Luke Skywalkers here. They're exactly the same, but I want to get the best of the best. So this one, like the card is kind of bent here up at the top, not that one. This one, the card down here at the bottom is kind of dog-eared, not that one. This one, the bubble is kind of crushed right here, not this one. This one, the bubble is not crushed, but it's kind of scuffed up, so it's kind of hazy, not that one. And you keep on doing that, meaning it comes down to the figure. You say, okay, the card is good, the bubble is good, let's look at the figures. You know, this one, let's say there's 3 left, and you say, okay, this one, the paint app on the eyebrow, it goes up like this and then kind of down like that, as like a painting mistake, not that one. These two, the cards are perfect, the bubbles are perfect, the figures are perfect, but this one, the head is turned like this. And this one is looking straight forward. I'm not going to get this one looking to the side, I'm going to get this one. And so you end up with the perfect figure. The perfect card, perfect bubble, perfect paint apps, and it's in the pose that you like, because you're not going to open this thing. You get the perfect figure. But when there's only one, you're at the mercy of that one. So here was this Han Solo and Hoth Gear with a lightsaber, and I wanted it. I wanted it bad. I didn't even know they made this figure. I had never seen it advertised on the back of the figure cards before. So it was a figure that was undiscovered to me until now. And I'm like, okay, I'm looking at it. There's no other here on the pegs. I made sure to check. Card looks okay. The bubble looks good. The figure looks good. I've never seen this before, so I turn it over to look at the back to see what other figures are listed there, and bam, I see it. Right there. Someone has physically torn the barcode off the back of the figure. Like, you know, now it's like down here. Before, it was like right here, and someone had just ripped it right off the card. Who does that? Who just rips a UPC code off of an action figure? I mean, it just boggles the mind. Why would someone do that? It's insane. And, you know, as a collector, you want to get something that is absolutely perfect. And to me, this, of course, was nowhere near perfect. I mean, sometimes you're willing to accept something if it's the only one, if, you know, even if something sticks out like a sore thumb. But this, something ripped directly off the card, was stuck out like a severed arm. So I said, as much as I want this figure, I'm not going to accept this glaring blemish. I put it back on the shelf, I got some other figures, and I left. And I never saw that figure again. Ever. To this day, I do not have the Power of the Force Han Solo and Hoth Gear. I think I saw it for sale a few years ago in a comic shop at a pretty big markup. But by this point in time, I'm like, you know what? As much as I wanted that figure, I think I'm going to pass because I'm not a huge Star Wars freak. I'm not a Jed head like I used to be. So I passed on that figure then. I wish I had been able to get it when I was younger. But that is what it's like to have like an obsession to, you know, for collecting. I mean, if you are a collector, you know what I'm talking about. If you are obsessive, let's say that, you know, a friend of mine, Adam Holmes, he's the guy that gave me all those Transformers all those years ago to sell on eBay, and people still send me messages asking if stuff is still available. Trust me, it is not. But he collected tons of Transformers, just tons of Transformers. He gave me like a giant plastic, you know, tote thing of like Transformers. Matter of fact, he gave me like 2 of them. There was that many Transformers. I could barely fit them in my little dorm room, and I sold almost all of them off. I kept just a few because I liked them. But he did that because he wanted to free up room. He wanted to help me out, but, you know, he wanted to free up room in his house. His favorite Transformers character is Soundwave. He loves Soundwave. That's his favorite character. He has like a sealed, like, original release Soundwave from like 1984. He was lucky enough to get that when he was a kid, and his grandma, from what he told me, his grandma bought him 2. He said, and she said, this one is for you to open and play with. This one is for you to never open and collect. So he got to open the toy up and play with it and have fun with it, and the other one stayed closed, and he still has it to this day. Closed, never been opened, and that thing has to be worth a mint. So, but you know, he had too much stuff, so he said, you know, he needs to get rid of a lot of this stuff, and he needs to narrow down his collecting field. So he says, I'm not going to get rid of everything, just most of it. And he's going to collect just Soundwave. So now he has an obsession, but he can afford it, because he's only collecting one character. I mean, he'll get like Soundwave from G1. He'll get Soundwave from the Unicron battles, whatever ones they did that. The movie Soundwaves, they're coming out really soon with the Masterpiece Soundwave, and I'm sure he'll get that. But, you know, he's not collecting everything. He's collecting just everything of one character. So an obsession can become affordable if you do that. So, if any of you are out there, are collectors, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I encourage everyone out there, young and old alike, to develop some sort of obsession. Not obsessive obsession, but, you know, collect something. Something that you enjoy. It doesn't have to be expensive. Some super rich people collect cars. I mean, hey, if they got the money and they can afford to do it, sure, go and collect cars. But if you like to collect Hot Wheel cars, you can do that too. If you like Transformers, I mean, collect those. I love Transformers. I love Transformers. But look at me. I'm starting to put Transformers up for sale on eBay. It pains me to let them go, at least some of them. But, you know, I have to narrow down my field. So from this point on, I'm collecting Generations Transformers and Masterpiece Transformers. Generations are relatively cheap. They're affordable. There are lots of them, though, so I have to narrow down, pick and choose which ones out of Generations I want. Masterpiece, though, there's not a whole lot of them, but they are very expensive. But you know what? If I collect just those two things, I can afford it. Because how often do they come out with Masterpieces? They'll come out with them, you know, once every few years. So, once every few years, sure, I can drop $100 on something, no problem. Some people collect 40K. Some people collect War Machine. I mean, I know you can play with these games, but, you know, just the collecting. I mean, look at Jawa Balls. You know, he's a big Blood Angels player. I mean, I think at one time he had enough Blood Angels minis to actually have, like, an entire chapter. Like, 1,000+ Marines, plus all these vehicles that they would have. I mean, if you have an obsession, great. You like Blood Angels? Good. I love Blood Angels. I collect Blood Angel stuff. You know? So if you find something that you like and you have the money and the room, you can just go out and you can buy whatever it is, put it on the shelf and say, look at that. Look at that. I've wanted that for so long and now I finally have it. So, that was somewhat of a rambling. I will leave you with that. Check back later on for any future videos, and that is me. I am signing out.